Knock, knock. Who's there? It's me, Jeff Kravitz. Hi. How are you? Welcome to 420 Live. I am your host, Jeff Kravitz. Welcome to another adventure, killing time, distracting you from this cold, hard reality that we are facing every day. Every day. And you know, it's not like I don't think that I don't spend time pontificating about what's happening to us as a nation, as a people, as a world, how our economy is affected, how our lives are affected. It's not that it doesn't come to me and I don't want to come here and spew about it for an hour, but I'm as disheartened as everybody else about the whole thing. And, you know, the real distraction that's going on at the highest level is the fact that any kind of response we would have had to any said emergency, any kind of pandemic was thrown out the window because it came from the prior administration. And that ultimately would have saved us a lot of aggravation, would have kept our economy open, and we'd all be hunky-dory. But we can't live in a land of if, what's, buts, and trying to throw blame around. And that's not why I'm here. You guys know why I'm here. I'm here to distract you from this insanity going on out there where you don't know which way to turn. So what do? I create a place to turn where you can just come in to the warm embrace of the Kravitz hug, and I will throw it at you and give you as much love and as much distraction as I possibly can. And every time I come up to the mic and I step up and invite a friend up to go on my adventure with me, sometimes they call you up and say, I can't make it tomorrow. So I was scrambling around, and, you know, my interview with Justin Kreutzmann led me to connecting back with some of my favorite people throughout. And that's what happens. It's kind of like a little pinball effect where you're just like, oh, look at what Kravitz is doing. Because a lot of people, not everybody knows what's going on. So people are figuring it out slowly but surely, that they can come here every day for a little bit of sanctuary. And I take them through an interesting roster of guests. You know, I try not to focus. Yesterday we were in Fish World because Fish was premiering their dinner and a movie, and we have a huge fan base. I'm in that fan base of Fish heads, but, you know, I'm a music head. And when I moved to Los Angeles, my thing was just to be wherever there was great live music. And I guess the station that really drove me, like a lot of people, was KROQ. I mean, that was the soundtrack of me moving to California. In those days, the options were radio or vinyl, and then eventually CD. I feel like a fucking antique right now. Eventually CDs, you know, you had to collect all these things and take them with you and have something to listen to, or some kind of stereo system. It's not like now. You guys got everything on your phone. You could stream everything. The whole world of music, anything you want to experience is out there on Spotify and for you guys to access. So anything you want to catch up on, you know, I spend my day today, the last couple hours, listening to No Doubt and catching up on a soundtrack that I hadn't heard in a while. And music makes you time travel. And when I hear these songs and I would sit back listening to this stuff, it was interesting because it made me think about all the stuff that I've gone through my life in my career and where I am now and where this insane madness has taken us into this alternate universe. So yes, we all feel old. I see the comments rolling in. Thank you, Gio. We all feel old. And, you know, it's interesting because I'm wondering what's going to be in 25 years that my grandkids are going to pop up, and hopefully grandkids. And I don't want to get ahead. I'm not trying to inspire my children here. But it's going to be, hey, Pops, look at this thing. I can be in Paris in 3 seconds when I hit this button. And then the kid disappears in front of you, comes back with a baguette. Here. Crunchy, delicious. You're like, go get me another one. Pick up a bottle of wine while you're at it and some cheese. Anyway, music makes you time travel. The photographs, they make me time travel, you know. And the unique thing about my guest today is Adrian Young. He's the drummer for No Doubt, founding member of No Doubt, which is a seminal rock band, started in the 80s, but came into prominence in the 90s and just set the world on fire. And one of the best live acts. The music was engaging. It drew from a ton of different influences. So, when I would go back and I look at somebody like Adrian and I pop his name in to Film Magic, which is the Getty Images website that I used to work with back in my alternate other world. And all of a sudden, all these images come up. I pulled over 70 pictures of Adrian and No Doubt back in the day, performing throughout their career as recently as I guess their last time was 2016, I think. So, and then also with his new band Dreamcar. So he's a busy guy. We're going to bring him in right now. Let's say hi. You ready there, Adrian?
Yes, sir.
Adrian Young, how are you?
Hi, Jeff.
Good to see you.
You too.
It's been a while.
On your show.
I'm glad I thank you for filling in. I had a dropout. These younger artists, you don't know what's going on. So I appreciate you being an old pal and stepping up to the plate. And you are on my list of people to get a hold of. But, like I said, trying to get a hold of people nowadays, it's like, oh, which account is the real Adrian Young? And do the people there, are they a bunch of Russian bots, maybe?
Sorry, my chair fell. Okay.
That's all right. Believe me, a lot of worse has happened here on the air live. I've lost my marbles. How are you? How's it going for you?
It's okay here. It's very strange, like it is for most of us or all of us. But I have my wife and my children and my health. So it's as simple as that right now.
Yeah. Did you have any plans to be touring around now? What was up with Dreamcar?
So no, the Dreamcar cycle ended at the end of 2017 for that record. I really enjoyed doing that record, by the way. It was awesome.
The music is a really interesting mix of 80s power pop with a kind of a new flair to it.
For us, it was just pure fun. We didn't have any real preconceived notion of what kind of band it was going to be. We just started jamming and we just gradually gravitated towards playing that kind of 80s influence sound. And we thought that Davey's voice sounded good and he enjoyed doing it. So we just kept going with it.
Who wrote the music? Was that a group effort, or was it, did Davey have the lyrics, or how did it go?
No, we would do the tracks or do the demos of the tracks and then send them to Davey. And he was a machine, man. He would write lyrics and melodies like that day very quickly. And then, he would come down our way towards Long Beach and we would start demoing ideas. And then eventually we're like, hey, I feel like we got a record here. Let's try to do a record,
It was a great live. He's a great live performer.
He is. He's got it all. And it kind of started as an experiment to see if it would even work. And once at a certain point, it just clicked, and we knew it was going to work.
So, is there any plans in the future? Everybody's just kind of laying low right now.
Everyone's laying low. And he's an AFI,
right? Yes.
So, and that's his main group. And so, and they tour quite a bit still. Not now, but. Traditionally they do.
Nobody's touring right now.
No.
It's a very, very interesting time in our world, but you haven't been on the road for a while. So Dreamcar was the last thing you did. And before that was No Doubt was 2016, right?
2015.
2015.
Yeah. I missed
forever ago.
When I see pictures of tour buses, I kind of get sentimental.
Yeah. But do you miss that life? I mean, you guys were on the road a lot.
Well, I miss parts of it. It would be a grind to do it now because we still our kids. We have an 8 and 18-year-old.
Nice spread, by the way.
Yeah, we didn't draw it up that way, but that's what
nobody ever does.
Speaking of the kids, one of the things that Anita, my wife, and I have been doing is watching old movies that we love with the kids. So we're watching a lot of John Hughes movies, and with my 18-year-old Mason, I'm doing a lot of, like Silence of the Lambs and Halloween, and he's just loving it, and I'm loving it watching it with him. It's awesome to watch movies that you like or grew up with through your kids' eyes. Last night we watched Borat. We laughed our asses off. It was lovely.
It's nice when they become adults and they go into that friend zone where you enjoy hanging out with each other. Yeah. Dad zone. I mean, I don't think the dad zone ever goes away, but
it can't. Else you're not doing your job. Your purpose is not being fulfilled.
Let's talk about the early days and how you got involved with No Doubt.
Okay.
That was what, 85, 86?
The band started, I believe, at the beginning of 87. And I joined in 89. And so I was one of those kids in the pit that would actually go see the band because they were local here in Orange County. And then in 1989 I joined, and it was kind of like a tryout thing. They didn't have any records at this point. They were still a local band, hadn't done any tours yet. But I lied to when they asked how long I had been playing, because I'd only been playing for about a year and a half, and I said I'd been playing for like 8 years or something.
How old were you?
I was 19, and but I passed the test. I got in the band, and well, you know the rest.
Yeah, the rest is just history. And No Doubt has done it all. I mean, every award show, every step of the way. I mean, you guys hit MTV right at the peak, and Gwen was the perfect front woman for that whole generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we didn't expect that to happen as far as the success levels, but it was quite a ride. It was quite a ride, really fun.
Yeah, slightly. And then from the Grammys here, I'm gonna pull up a couple of the shots here. This is the first time I ever saw you guys. I think this is 1996. This is your first performance at the MTV Video Music Awards.
That kind of sucked, actually, because I have this thing about heights, and I don't like playing drums off like a ledge, for example. It's a phobia. And as you can tell, we're on the ledge there above Radio City Music Hall, and I fucking hated that. I couldn't wait for the song to be over.
And they were like, you guys are going to play on the ledge. And you were like,
and I know that sounds ridiculous because there's a rail.
Yeah, you're well protected there.
But phobias are phobias, right? They don't make sense.
And you would probably just have a flesh wound from that height. It wouldn't probably be full-fledged death unless.
Probably not death. Probably a trip to the hospital.
Yeah, it's like it's probably 2 stories up, right? 2, 3. It's just above the thing, 3 stories maybe.
Yeah.
But that was classic. And if I could find this shot of the 4 of you guys, here's this picture. This was probably at rehearsals.
Yeah, that's probably 1995.
Yes. No, I think there was that show. It was that show 96.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this was that performance. But you still look like a bunch of babies in there. It's hard to believe that you guys have been a band at 6 years at that point.
Yeah, look at that. Wow. I bought that shirt that day, and now it's all coming back to me. That Fred Perry, I bought it in New York City that day.
You went shopping?
Yeah.
Well, you are right. Radio City's right in the middle of town.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely, and it's just different. I was so happy to have a Southern California band. And I think that's one of the unique things about you guys is that you were a Southern California band. You embody the lifestyle of Southern California. What was the inspiration for the music in No Doubt? How did you guys come up with the sound, the early sound? Because it was more like a punk. Your drums are driving in some of that early stuff.
The really, really early days, even before I joined, it was mainly the two-tone ska scene. And in Southern California, there was a third wave of it happening. And so, at that time, No Doubt was really influenced by, like Fishbone and the Untouchables, Southern California bands, British two-tone scene, of course. But then pretty much after that first year, the band started to bring in other elements of stylistically, and that never stopped. There were times when the band did get flack for not having a focused sound, for example, whether it was record industry people or people from a certain scene, like, why are they playing this music? Or, or even when the band started to cross over in later years and having hits on Top 40 radio, we got a lot of somewhat of a pushback, but the band had always evolved and tried different styles and never really said, "Oh, we can't do that because we're not that kind of band."
Right.
We didn't place that limit on ourselves.
No, and the music got way very cool. Walking in the spider webs. I mean, that tune is such a groovy beat to it, and such a cool little riff going behind it. And it's like reggae, and then in and out of reggae, and just the influences are evident. And then you added the horns, that changed the sound quite a bit. That was the mid '90s when the horns came in.
No, there's always been a horn section in No Doubt.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were all, because when you look on Wikipedia, look at your prior members, it's probably about 15, 20 people in the band.
Yeah. Within, the first handful of years, there were a lot of different horn players coming and going. A lot of member changes, period, actually, until, I guess I was the last to join out of the core, and that was in 1989. So, yeah.
Let's talk about your stylistic choices.
All right. So we got
like Grammys. I'm wearing a bra. I'm wearing a bikini top and a skirt. And you win and go up and get the award like that too, which is epic.
I don't know how my kids feel about that, but I'm pretty proud of that.
Well, tell the kids to fasten their seatbelts.
You got to send me that photo. That's
I went and pulled a special selection for you too. That's not even on here. And here, obviously, just by the attire, it's a K-Rock acoustic Christmas.
Yes, it's Christmas time. That's not that long ago. I think that was probably
2012,
14, maybe. I don't
14.
know. You might be right. I don't know.
But yeah, I have the listing somewhere on all of it, like where the photos are, of course, and me. And here, this is actually a different K-Rock, I think. This could be a little bit earlier.
This is earlier.
Yes.
Christmas again.
Yeah, Christmas. Yeah, when you get on the thing, there was one. Hold on, where is the other shot of my boy here?
These photos are entertaining. I haven't seen these in a long
time. Oh yeah,
that,
like I said, I definitely have my arsenal is thick. It's just trying to figure out where everything is. This is actually a great shot because you're playing in a corset, not normally a freewheeling piece of clothing.
No, it was a little bit tight. I think that's a Dreamcar photo.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, this was your nighttime show at Lost Lake.
Okay.
You guys, I caught you guys twice. Once was Lost Lake, and the other was Life is Beautiful in Las Vegas.
Oh man, these photos are making me miss all of it.
It's kind of crazy, huh? Yeah. It's such, and that's really what was fun, was going through and hold on, I have to try these again because this stuff I want to share is not showing up. But let's see what opens up here when I share it. Boom, chakalaka-laka. Hide this, hide sidebar. Let's go with, oh yeah, here's the other one here. Hold on, a little technical. There's always something going on in the great big world of live webcasting. Always an adventure. Here we go. This is your formal wear. It takes a lot of balls, Adrian, to go out on stage like that.
Even see Gabe McNair in the background. He plays trombones and keyboards for No Doubt. Yeah, he's a kick out of it too. Oh man, I think there's a picture of I'm standing next to Eric Kretz from that night in that same outfit, and he's kind of leaning like this away from me a little bit. I can't say I blame him. That's a pretty fucked up outfit.
Yeah, and here I think this will be the last one. It's kind of like a Gene Simmons thing you had going on. It's
always been a goal of mine to have Gene Simmons' tongue on my package, right where it could be. I like them apples, Gene.
Not a Kiss fan?
I love Kiss.
Me too. They were great.
Last gig we saw before the lockdown, and we saw my wife and my kids went to Oakland Arena, and that was it. And then the next week, we started this thing.
Speaking of which, here she is.
She is lovely, lovely woman, isn't she?
And you got your horns on here. Your little red horns, your hair horns.
Like
Classic. We love Nina. She's a great lady. We've had many good times together, rolling around.
You know, I'm gonna say something about Nina. You were rolling around with Nina? Is that what you said?
Well, no. We all used to have a lot of good times together.
I would say that often my friends, including friends that were my friends first, like her more than me.
Yeah, well, she's got a lot more personality. Let's face it.
I agree with that. I guess it could be the other way when all my friends, they could hate my wife. You know, we've all seen that.
Hey, and you know what? It's never too late.
Yeah. Keep your shit straight. It could flip on you, honey.
You never know. You never know. Listen.
Fuck you, Kravitz.
Right. Make yourself useful.
Nina, come on out, say hi. Where are you?
No.
No, I'm just serious. Can I have a beer?
Oh, hi. That was quick. Well, one of the fun times we had when you were doing your favorite hobby and we were in hotel rooms next to each other was Fairway when we were stuck in Las Vegas at the Hard Rock. And you're a pretty decent golfer. Like everything I see online was like, oh, Adrian's a really big scratch golfer and everybody wants him on their celebrity squad when he plays. Is that true, or is that a bunch of hype that you put up there?
I didn't put it up there.
Okay.
But yeah, I put a lot of time into golfing over the years, and up until probably the end of 2018, I was competing a lot in tournaments, not just like the celebrity fun stuff, but actually stroke play. You put your ball up in the air and you go against the field you're in.
You were trying to get in the money.
I was trying to see how good I could get. I always had my amateur status, but I would toggle between playing like amateur city championships and then like these local, they call them mini tours.
Mm-hmm.
And generally I didn't do too well in the tournaments. However, I did win one of those mini tour competitions one time, which you win money. So
but isn't that kind of like the kiss of death? Like when you win once and then you're hooked.
Oh, it's awful, and I don't even know if I ever got better after that. It wasn't the last trying, but I couldn't hang. It's just it was tough. I was hitting my head against the wall for a lot of years, to be honest.
Are you still playing?
Not very much.
Well, now you can't because of the thing, but you're just not into it like you are?
We can play.
You just don't have the drive.
I don't. No.
Well, you were fraternizing with some pretty unsavory characters. Here's Tico and Scott Wolf from Party of Five. Tico Torres from Bon Jovi.
Uh-huh.
And you know, one of the things I talked about before the show was kind of how golf wasn't cool. Especially with rockers. Like I remember the first couple times I saw Alice Cooper on the course of the celebrity tournament, they'd be like, no photos of Alice playing golf because they didn't want to crush his vibe with the fans.
Really?
Yeah, because he was just rock god, and here he is play a golf nerd, right?
Yeah.
So instead of like slicing the baby's head off, he's or whatever he does on his act, he's out there playing golf. And then when he came to Fairway and started doing and when it became a thing where everybody was like, we all love golf with all the celebs, it wasn't, it was pretty universal. This picture, actually, speak of the devil, this is a pretty epic shot right here. You got Dave Bryant on the left, Alice Cooper next to him, Steve Van Zandt back there with a schmalta on his head.
Uh-huh.
Adrian and Tico.
Yeah, look at that. That's in Las Vegas.
That's Fairway. That's a lineup of crazy talent of golfers there. When you think about that, Bon Jovi, Springsteen, and Sopranos with little Steven, Alice Cooper, you, and Tico. I mean, that's a hell of a round. Do you remember this?
I do. I remember just being super young and going, wow, I can't believe I'm, hanging out with all these guys that I've been seeing on TV over all the years. And it was pretty surreal. It was hard to get used to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I once decided, and I don't remember how long ago this was, that I didn't want to meet my heroes anymore. And for a couple reasons. One, I don't want that. If they came off like a dick, that'd be a bum out. But two, I can never be fully comfortable with myself hanging out with people that I looked up to when I was young, especially as a child or a teenager.
Did you find it hard to be yourself?
I did. And so at a certain point I decided I don't want to do this anymore. Like, one time we were in France and the Cure is playing across town at another venue. And we got invited to go have dinner with them after they were done or we were done or whatever. And I said, no, I'm going to keep my image of those guys exactly where it is and keep it intact. Not that it would have been a bad experience, but it would have been different. I like to keep the mystique alive.
Yeah, but you don't like picking their brains?
I wouldn't have picked their brains.
No, you would have just sat there, been dumbfounded, and been uncomfortable.
Cool. Yeah, right on, bro.
All right. Well, going back to this picture, do you remember anything about any of these guys' golf game?
I think out of everybody, Alice probably has the best swing after me, of course.
Did you have did you have the best swing there? How did you do at that fairway event? Do you remember?
Well, you don't play your own ball.
Right.
So it's more like a team thing, and it
was more of a TV show, right? Than
TV show. It's charity. The VH1 just wanted to see, rock stars kind of slap the golf ball around and have a good time. Yeah,
well, you know what? You have some nice form there, kid.
Oh, look at that follow through. That's not too bad.
They look damn good. And when I looked at the pictures, it's almost like I've stalked you your entire life. I was like, holy shit. It's almost like somebody paid me to go follow Adrian around. It's so bizarre. It's just like, oh yeah, here, backstage at the VMAs, as soon as you get off in the green room, as soon as you get off the stage, everybody all smiling.
Yeah.
What do you remember about MTV and those VMAs? Anything come back to you? Any stories? Anything crazy?
Oh man. Do you remember anything, Nina?
No.
I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry. I remember they were really fun.
Hey, I'm so glad I have pictures.
And I have those Moon Men up on my, on my mantle in the house. So I still think they're cool.
Yeah, it's a total piece, a total slice of your life. I know you've done many things for $1 here. Here is the VH1 karaoke. That's
wow.
that's Roseanne with the horns on and Kevin Cronin. And I don't even know who you're singing with. Is that?
I'm singing with two guys from Sugar Ray.
Murphy.
I'm singing with Murphy and Stan from Sugar Ray. So the way that went down is it was karaoke in the Hard Rock venue in Vegas. And so we start singing a REO Speedwagon song. It's basically myself and the guys from Sugar Ray, and we're just killing the song in the worst way because we can't sing and it just sounds awful. Kevin Cronin, the singer for REO Speedwagon's in the front row, and he starts booing us and sort of like throwing paper or whatever. And so we look down at him. We're like, "Hey, you're talking shit. You think you can sing this? You want to come up and sing it?" And he starts singing it. And it was what was it? Heard it from a friend who what's that song? Yeah. Heard it from another. You've been messing around. Take It on the Run.
Yes.
And then everyone just got off their seat and they were loving it, and we stepped aside as we should, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was a class. I forgot all about this stuff. I forgot about even going to this thing or being there, and then I saw it, and I'm like, oh shit. It's so bizarre how I can't even remember where the hell I was, even with the photographic help. Talk about your partner in crime. This partner in crime,
Tony Canal.
Yes.
So whenever I play, and this is not disrespect to other bass players out there, but whenever I play with anyone else, it never feels the same.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I can't quite quantify, or I can't put a word to it. It's just a feeling, and it's going to sound cliche, but it's like a glove when you put it on and it fits. Unlike the OJ glove, and and it's one of those things that's like going home. It's like, shit, that's what it's supposed to feel like. And I miss doing that with them.
Well, when did you realize that? Like after No Doubt kind of not split, but took a hiatus?
No, I mean, I played on a lot of other people's records over the years. I love doing that. I continue to do that. And I noticed it then, whenever that first time was. I don't remember how long ago, but and then I've sat in with bands too, live, that needed somebody or for whatever reason, and it always feels different.
Well, what do you think it is? What do you think it is about his playing? Do you think it's just that you can get in each other's heads?
That's exactly what it is. Don't have to say much of anything. We can just feel it and hear it. The instincts have been built for, since the late 80s, and it's just there. And we covered a lot of territory, especially in the early days, of really experimenting with different styles and radically pushing ourselves, to see how far we could, push our chops and ability to play different styles. And I think that was just part of the buildup of what we have as a drummer and a bass player.
What were the bands that were influencing you guys?
I mentioned some of them earlier, but it's definitely a lot of the ska stuff.
Specials was that Specials was before you guys? Specials and
Specials were like late 70s and they started.
Really?
So that whole British two-tone thing was like Specials and Madness and the English Beat. There are a lot of great bands that came from England in the late 70s and early 80s. They were a big influence on us.
Yeah. But it changed too. Your music, you had a lot of different. Punk was in there too. I mean, I hear a lot of punk in some of your stuff.
I mean, yeah, we loved bands like Bad Brains and TSOL, and it was a lot, we would go to punk shows all the time, even though we weren't a punk band. And I think at times it would creep in there, and we would play with a lot of punk bands in the early days. We would open up for Bad Religion, and a lot of some bands that maybe it was questionable whether we even belonged on the bill, but we always took the challenge. We weren't afraid to do it.
Well, talk about how K-Rock influenced your life and your band, and what it was like to have a station that was dedicated to that music, because there wasn't really another station in the United States that played the songs like the playlist that K-Rock did.
I think that being a Southern California kid in the 80s, I mean, K-Rock was it. It was, and we didn't know at the time because we were too young, but we didn't realize that K-Rock was kind of the mecca for playing new wave music and everything else they were playing. There was one other station in San Diego called 91X.
Yes,
it was also doing it. I don't think they had the audience share, but they were a great station.
Yes. Well, I used to listen. You would dial them in. You could barely get them, but boy, they played the music.
Yeah.
That was it. K-Rock and 91X when I moved here in the mid 80s was.
Where'd you move from?
Atlantic City, New Jersey.
All right.
It was, I had to get out. I had to get out of Jersey. I had a higher calling,
or at least one that was west.
Yeah. Well, it was higher, but ultimately I wanted the good bud. I mean, I definitely was the reason I moved to California was opportunity and the good bud. Yes. Cause everybody on the East Coast, if you got high, if you smoked, you were kind of like, a lawbreaker, you know, you were like, oh, and you were ostracized by society. And I moved here and everybody that smoked was like cool and hip and running industry and heads of labels and artists and musicians and people that were going places. But back home, they kind of, the people weren't progressing that were smoking. It was more like a stigma, you know, so it was hard to break out of like a box, you know. It was interesting perception I had later in life because I came here, it was game on, you know, you could find great bud and everybody was very open. And the people that all smoked together were all people that were helping each other too. It was like kind of like an underground thing. And now it's wide open. So at least that was my perception.
As it should be.
Yeah, as it should be. You've seen a lot of changes in the music industry. What do you think of the TikTok generation?
Well, I would be lying to you if I said I understood it. I know it's there. I don't understand what's going on.
Well, do you understand that 7 out of 10 of the top 10 songs in America right now are from?
I heard you say that, and I did not know that.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and it's been a sliding scale. At first it was 1, then it was 2, now it's 3, 4, 5, 6. It is unbelievable. And every time I say to my kids, I like this song, and they'll be like, TikTok, and I'll be like, really? And I feel kind of guilty. Yeah. But and one of the things that's happened to K-Rock, there was a big article in Variety about K-Rock and how they've changed. And it's interesting to see that you have to turn to all this music. And if you think about K-Rock, it was always a station that broke all these new bands, these innovative bands. And they kind of got stuck in still playing No Doubt and all the different bands that were from the 80s and 90s. Wasn't bad for you guys and not bad for all those legacy bands, but not really turning it on to what's coming out new. So things kind of changed without a doubt at what's happening at K-Rock, no doubt.
I mean, I don't want to come across as that older guy, but I don't quite understand how, I guess with YouTube and TikTok and I mean, I guess it's an easier way for people to hear music. I guess I'm a little bit stubborn in my old ways. You know, I still like to turn the radio on.
Right, but your band that directly benefited from the revolution from radio discovery of music to television and MTV. You know, MTV definitely helped, no doubt. You agree?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, that was the place. If you weren't on MTV and you were a band in the 90s, 80s, you were not there.
Yeah. But I mean, when MTV started in the early 80s, that wasn't the first time that medium had been used. I mean, you remember the what was it called? The Midnight Special?
Of course. Yeah, Wolfman Jack.
Or Solid Gold, or well, that one I shouldn't say that because they were lip syncing.
Oh, well, yeah, you could go back to Bandstand if you really want to go back. Yeah. Dick Clark and
was there, and it was a big
Soul
deal.
Train.
Those variety shows where you could have live artists.
Right. So, but it was hard. But in those days, it was really hard to see those bands because you had to tune in at the time, and you'd have to be like watching the thing. Now it's entertainment on demand.
There were only 3 channels, right? It's like
right, of course. Yeah, you had to move the rabbit ears.
7 o'clock is gonna be the Gong Show, and then later on we're gonna watch on the Midnight Special. It's like there wasn't a big menu of shit.
Right. There wasn't a lot to watch, and there wasn't a lot of way to consume the information. Everybody has all the information in the world at their fingertips. Anything I want to see, I can go on YouTube and find. It's amazing. And YouTube changed music also. I mean, it was MTV, then YouTube. I mean, these were definitely demarcations on, you know, Spotify, well, Pandora, then Spotify. I mean, these are all things. They're the kiss of death to the record industry, which used to be the almighty, all-powerful controller of the
they're still pretty powerful, though.
They're still pretty powerful, but you know what? They're Justin Bieber didn't come from that.
Spotify and all the streams.
What, they controlling those?
Mm-hmm. They are.
Speaking of Spotify, did you know that you guys are at 800 million spins?
I did not know that.
I was blown away. And I was just counting, I think, your top 10 songs on Spotify that come up when you click No Doubt. I mean, you're almost at a billion spins. I mean, what is that at a penny each? Have you made $1,000 from that?
I you know, the way you get paid as an artist has always been pretty convoluted. So it's never broken out like, hey, you receive this much from CD sales and this much from a stream. And and to be a little bit more honest, most bands or artists get the bulk of their income from touring, not from album sales or
right. Well, the paradigm shifted, right? About within the past 10 years, from record sales to touring being the main existence.
Well, no, I think touring has always been the biggest way to earn money as an artist.
Yeah.
I think back in 60s, 70s, 80s, I think bands were getting ripped off way more by record companies.
What do you think is going to happen now with nobody touring and all that money and all these musicians in limbo?
I think that it's gonna really suck, and it's not just the musicians. You have a lot of touring crew members that go on tour to make the show happen, and a lot of people are out of work because that right there. You're talking about an industry that's not seeing a downturn. You're talking about it going instantly to zero,
right,
from what it was, and man, that's a tough one. I don't know what the remedy is for that, but when it comes to music and sports, I don't know how you throw thousands of people in a room together right now. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, it's very hard. I mean, America has been through the ringer, and I think mentally too, because we just don't have leadership that is trustworthy, that we can put our eggs in the basket and be like, oh, we're in great hands. Every day I wake up and I watch TV and they change what they're saying on TV. They're flip-flopping back and forth. It's like I don't know what to believe anymore. So it's created a thing where I don't want any information now.
It's definitely confusing, especially because it's very fluid. And much of what you're saying is also true. But I think it's important for everyone to study the data as best they can, because there's a lot of people that are uninformed, and it's going to affect their behavior in an irresponsible way. In fact, when you started talking before I came on, you had said something. You referred to not passing blame, or said something about the prior administration, or
right. Well, yes. That my rap is that basically our administration now is trying to put the blame wherever they can and try to minimize the damage. So what's happening is he comes out and everybody's saying, if you would have shut it down a week earlier, you would have saved X amount of lives. And he would have says, if I would have shut it down a week later, it would have cost even more lives. So you're lucky I shut it down when I shut it down. And what I say, my response is, if you wouldn't have thrown out the pandemic response team and all the scientists you had in place from the prior administration, then you would have had a pandemic plan. So when this came around, you would have had some kind of order to follow to keep your economy open, to respond to it, to have the proper amount of PPE. Adrian, the thing that drives me the craziest about all this is that it focuses on toilet paper and face masks and Clorox wipes. I mean, they so distracted us on the things. And I know it's over. When I walked in Vaughn's yesterday and there was all the toilet paper I wanted, and I drove here today and there was a guy selling masks for $1 on the street corner, I'm like, we have all these supplies now. Now, what are they going to talk about now? Because now we have toilet paper and we have masks. It's just been like a colossal distraction to us, where they're not getting anything done. Even the amount of testing. I don't know if you saw this, but in Wuhan, they tested 11.5 million people in a week or something like that. And the results are all out, and a lot of people do not have it there, but they tested 11.5 million people. Here, we've tested 5 million people, 6 million people out of 330 million. I mean, that's not a lot. So there's a lot left to be desired, I think. I acquiesce.
I think you raised some good points. I could add a lot to that. I'm going to refrain for now.
I try not to get political here, but you know what? It's so hard.
It's hard not to. I will add one thing to what you said, and that is, take a look at the dates when we saw that China had a massive problem, and travel from China did get shut down pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
I want to acknowledge that. However, when Italy was breaking out of control, what did we do? And when did we do it?
Right.
Put the dates together.
Oh, hey, listen, I know we were there. I saw the distraction and the bullshit and the press conferences. Anyway, I digress. I want to ask a question on everybody's mind. When was the last time all the No Doubters all talked to each other? Is there any kind of plans to ever get together and do some new music? You knew it was coming.
I know of no plans.
Okay, that's very well handled. Well, all I could say is that you have a rabid fan base out there that loves you, loves the band, loves the music. And
I will speak for myself. I would love to play when the concert business is open again.
I would think that we would like to hear from everybody that's been sitting at home, and also a little bit of new music too, from what inspired by what's going on, because I think we all have a lot to say and release. And I know that you're not sitting there not having an opinion.
Well, baby steps, one thing at a time, Jeff.
One thing at a time. Well, maybe maybe we would just reach out. We'll do a cosmic reach out to everybody and just let everybody in the world, all the bands, because we had a lot of great bands lined up for 2020 that were coming back together. Rage Against the Machine, they were getting ready to come back together. I was really looking forward to that.
I know.
I heard rumors of the Kinks.
Did you happen to see No Doubt on that list?
No, I didn't.
No, nor did I.
Yeah. Well, we would love, we'd all love No Doubt. And we all know what the chemistry is about. We've all experienced it and had so many amazing times together. It's just great. There's a lot of people in here. No Doubt forever. Thank you, Adrian. My friend Rhiannon. Sorry. My English is so bad. Long live No Doubt. Rhiannon in my Jersey accent.
Yes.
We love you so much. J to the me. GOC misses No Doubt. We miss you. The moment of truth. Yeah, they all wanted to know. See, everybody wants to ask, of course. It's kind of like when I run into to any guys that have any kind of rift in a band. Everybody's like, when are you putting the band back together? I'm sure are you sick of hearing that question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, listen, I interviewed Jerry Harrison from the Talking Heads.
Yes.
And I actually had to ask him, I was like, how frustrating is it for you guys to want to play and have one guy be like, nah. And he's like, oh.
Is that what is happening with Talking Heads? David Byrne doesn't want to play? Is that right?
Oh, yeah, he won't play. He doesn't want to play. They'd offered them, I think it was hundreds of millions of dollars to get back together. And they said no. And, I think a lot of bands are going to miss that window. I think the same thing's happening with Genesis, where they're getting a lot of people want them to play. And they won't play either. I will say my friend from Jeff Gordon from Live Nation in Philly wanted to remind everybody, one of your points was Crew Nation is putting together fundraisers through Live Nation where the funds get matched and go to the crews. They sell merchandise and stuff like that.
Awesome. So, Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Jeff Gordy's a big No Doubt fan. And they're saying you get paid, just so you know, 0.045 per spin. But that's, contractually, just so you know, you can do the math later on 800 million. That's crazy numbers, by the way. Oh, Don Kirshner's rock concert. Remember that one?
Yes.
Or was that before your time?
Yeah. I didn't see it as a kid. I had to see it years later for the reruns. But yeah.
Yes. Let's see. If it was for MTV or Much Music, you would have never met No Doubt. And that was the thing. That's where it all came from. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. Jeff added Dreamcar. We wanted to hang with for you guys to come play Philly. It's just beautiful. All the love. I mean, no matter what you guys do, we feel it. I have to share a little bit of Dreamcar here because I did shoot Dreamcar. And here's a good one. You look a little excited. Talk about me and your heroes.
He liked my devil horns.
He's a good dude. What a talent.
That's a pretty handsome picture of him right there.
Yeah, he looks very good. That was probably in his really good years. All right, well, I'll start with this one, and No Doubt. This is probably your last, I want to say your last K-Rock weenie roast with the light up drums. Does that sound right? Is that 2015 or so? Here's Dreamcar, your Dreamcar crew backstage.
Yeah.
I liked you got the ladies in there, equally balanced. And you and Tony. Here you are, throwing out your sticks. This is Life is Beautiful.
Oh, look at that.
And this was the show I got attacked by Davey on stage in the middle of a song. He came up to me, and while I'm shooting, and he just kept getting closer, and I'm like, oh my God, he is coming right for me. And I just turned the camera around and took a shot. And it was pretty funny. I became a meme, whatever you call those things. They were like, we're all this middle-aged photographer, and somebody took the video clip from the show, and it showed him walking across the stage, me and me taking the picture. They're all like, we're this guy. So my Dreamcar moments, my No Doubt moments, some fine moments. Let's talk a little bit about what you're doing, what you're doing right now.
Okay. Well, so I have a recording studio at my house, and that's been a little bit of a saving grace as far as my daily routine goes. At the end of 2018, I made a partnership with a friend of mine named Todd Foreman, who back in the day played saxophone and keyboards for Sublime. And we became a production partnership, production, songwriting, performance, and engineering and mixing. And so his daytime job, he's a family physician, I should add. And he is my doctor. But no, I do not have him put his finger up my ass for the prostate because we spend too much time together. I don't spend that much time with.
Yeah, well, last time I went to the doctor, she's like, you know what? If I find anything, it doesn't matter. You're going to die anyway. I'm like, oh, great. Thanks, doc.
So they're unnecessary?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what she said. The thing is, I also went in for the scope. I don't know if you're up in your 50s yet, but
I'm 50.
Yeah, so guess what you get this year, my friend?
Wait, didn't I have that already? Oh yeah, I blocked it.
There you go. How'd you do? Did they give you the photo shoot afterwards? They give you the pictures? My doctor gave me the photos.
Yeah, but they found nothing.
They found nothing, so there was nothing to look at.
Yeah, no, it was great. He's like, here you pass. Here's your pictures. I took them home and studied them. I actually wanted to start posting pictures from the inside of my asshole on the internet as my Facebook profile picture. I thought that would be pretty funny. It was pretty fucking disgusting, though.
Here's my shit canal. Cool.
Here's my face, folks. So talk about it. So it's called Moxie Brothers, right?
Yeah. So our partnership is called the Moxie Brothers.
I just love the way we segue in and out here.
And what's the website?
Moxie Brothers.
MoxieBrothers.com.
Moxie Bros.
Oh, Moxie
Bros. BROS.
I'll look it up now. How bad am I?
BROS.
The website?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's the MoxieBrothers.com.
Social is.
I'm really bad at social media.
Here,
so. Anyway, so we started producing artists, and let's see, at mid 2019, after we kind of got our situation formatted and my studio was finished. And I absolutely love it. I love it so much because, doing previous records, I saw it all go down, but I was never, really none of us in the band were actually working the board per se. Right. We did.
So now you're producing, you're engineering, you're helping out, whatever needs to be done. Is that what it is? You guys are like,
I'm actually, my studio, well, the both of us, we're running the show. And so I spent like the last 12 months going to school for engineering.
Oh.
And so it's like, I never knew how to work all the gear before. I just knew how things were supposed to sound as a musician and as a music maker. Right. And so that's all I've been doing. I'm still, every day I'm studying something, and I absolutely love it. And I realized that not only do I love producing, but I love mixing so much. And so now I'm starting to get people sending me their mixes or sending songs to me for me to mix them.
Wow.
And so I've been doing that a little bit during the pandemic because I can do that from home, and then send the files back to him or send the mixes back to him. But musically, other than that,
I also saw that the Moxie Bros, you guys will play with if people need musicians too.
It depends. Yeah. So like if it's a solo artist, often he and I will play the majority of the instruments. I do play some guitar, but I'm limited. So I have an 18-year-old Ripper that lives with me, my son, and I'll often say, "Hey, get downstairs. I need you." And so I have him play on quite a bit of the records we do when there's not an actual band to play the parts. But yeah, like speaking of guitar, I love it so much. I wish I'd started taking lessons 25 years ago, but my son, my daughter, and I have a teacher who comes over once a week. Still during the pandemic, we set up in the backyard and we'll do like a distance lesson every Monday, and we take turns, the three of us. And so that's kind of cool. It breaks it up a little bit, but there's this golfing thing and producing and guitar playing. I'm still a drummer. That's my main thing. That's what I'm best at. I'm using this time to practice way more than I had years leading up to the pandemic. And in fact, maybe you can help me with this. I'm trying to think of a way to run some sort of I don't want to say contest, but like some sort of a thing where a band or an artist will send a song that I will play drums to for free, and I'll send it back to them.
Well, yeah, what I've done is contests on Instagram work amazing. And what you do is you tag somebody that ask them to enter. They have to follow you, follow whoever else you're in conjunction with, and tag 2 friends, and then you could pick a winner out of that. I have a question here.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite drummer? Armando Gallo, the world famous, worked with Genesis back in the day, world famous photographer. Thanks, Armando.
There's no one. I'll name the first few that come to mind. Stuart Copeland, Fish from Fishbone, Neil Peart, probably Carly from the Wailers.
Terry Bozzio.
Oh man, monster drummer.
There's so many great drummers out there. I mean, it's so hard. John Bonham, Keith Moon. I mean, all those guys I love drummers. They're like my favorite people. So I'm glad you came on today, Adrian.
Well, we're special.
What's that?
We're special for better or worse.
Yeah, I always thought like when my drummer in high school was crazy, and I'm like, oh, fucking drummers are nuts.
They mostly are.
Yeah. They all got to screw loose.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We made the whole hour. I just want you to know. You said you were going to make 15 minutes, but I told you we'd make it.
I'm pretty boring, when it comes to interviews, and I'm sure, like we spoke to earlier, like there's, unlike the old days, there's a bunch of things to choose from in a menu, and people probably bounced off watching my boring ass after about 5 minutes, but I'm glad I made it through the hour.
Yes, you did. I'm glad you came in. It's great. The best thing about this show is reconnecting with all the people that I love in my past. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate Nina. I mean, we go back so long now. It's just absolutely ridiculous. 25 years. That's crazy.
I appreciate your conversation. I really do.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on today. Thanks, Nina. And I look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Right on.
Thanks, Adrian.
Bye-bye.
There you go. Adrian Young from No Doubt. One thing about us here at 420 Live is the diversity that we're bringing you is unparalleled. We were in the 80s last week with Dramarama 2 weeks ago, actually, and now we're with No Doubt. I mean, and you know what? I'm looking forward to bringing you many, many, many more guests. I'm going to send the Youngs a solo pipe because I know probably their 18-year-old guitar player could probably use one. We're going to shout out Backline Care. May is Mental Health Month. Asher's Chocolate. We are developing our chocolate bar. If you want 20% off, 420 Live is your code. And check out the Moxie Brothers. See what they're up to. Adrian's got some great stuff going on. We really look forward to, don't you love that I get to talk to these guys and bust their balls about their old bands and be like, hey, put it back together. We all want it. We all love music here. That's why we're here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Peace, love, happiness to everybody. Here's the hug. Boom. We'll see you tomorrow with new North Mississippi All-Stars and director Martin Shore.